Good afternoon, traders. Welcome to this week's Crypto Corner webinar. I hope you all had a wonderful week. Right, so we have seen a drop in the cryptocurrencies in the last week. Is that drop sustainable? Let's have a look this week and how the market has played out and what we're going to be expecting in the next week. Right, so first, before we get started, check out our contact details in the description of the video. You'll find our website as well as our Twitter and Facebook pages and the Telegram page as well. So if you'd like to join us for our next course, which is going to be on the 5th of October, you can do so on our page, elliotwave-principle.com. You'll get the full recorded course. Then on the 5th, we can then watch the live webinar. So you can actually get the course right away when you make a booking. Right, so how has the market played out in the week as far as the cryptos are concerned? So a couple of weeks back, I have shown the bigger structure on the cryptos. Let's look at Bitcoin here first on the daily before we go into detail. Now, Bitcoin, we have looked at this. I'm going to show you the whole structure on Bitcoin. I'm not going to go into as much detail on the others, but I believe if we've got a decent Bitcoin structure, all the rest should fit in. This is a running flat. We've got 3 waves down here on Bitcoin, and we've got another 3 waves to the downside. That move is coming after that last pulsing move we had up until the end of 2018. Now, what we are looking at in this current structure is this. In the same degree, that is the yellow degree, there's a pulsing move there, and there's also a 3-wave corrective structure here. Now, that is a corrective structure. We're looking at this as a move to the upside. Okay, so what does that do? That means we've got 3 waves here, W. We've got 1, 2, 3. This could be a whole X. Now, the question is whether the X is complete or not. So what are we looking at as far as the X is concerned? We can be looking at this one as a flat correction. Now, if it's a flat correction, it can be a regular flat. Can it be accepted as a regular flat? Just to give you a bit of background on how Elliot has identified the regular flat and the rules. He gave only the guidelines that if this is an ABC, your B ends at around the start of wave A and your C ends at around the end of wave A. That's all he said in his book. So in this case, is C around the end of wave A and is B around the start of wave A. You can make your own discretion. Right, so but if you look at the structure, that means there's still a possibility that this can be an acceptable complete regular flat, or it can still continue up higher and get to around the end of wave A. Then it becomes a decent regular flat. Then we start looking for that and then upside. Okay, so this is on the daily. Let's go into the lower time frame to see the confirmation. Is this the end of wave? Is this the end of wave C, or we're gonna see a pullback? Okay, so let's just put the C here so you can see, I can label the whole structure so you can see what we're looking at here. So if this is a lower degree ABC here, that means you've got an X wave here, and then you're gonna have a Y. Okay, I'm not saying we're gonna get to 0, it's just one of those possibilities. So you've got here, let's put in the Y here, the A, bigger structure, that's the biggest degree you've got there. B, I'm out of space, that's why I'm drawing out here. A, B, and then we're going to be looking for a C. That's what we have. So let's see here if we're getting continuation to the downside. Let's go to the 4-hour on Bitcoin. What are we getting? Are we getting continuation to the downside? Let's have a look. Right, so there is this continuation pattern to the upside that we're looking at here that can continue down here. So we're waiting for that to confirm the break to the downside. If, however, from current levels, let's have a look here. If from current levels we start making you can see that this is a move to the upside. It looks corrective in the lower degree. There's a possibility it does this. It starts making a diagonal. And if it makes a diagonal, it should give you an entry for upside. So that's how we're going to decide whether this is making a move to the upside or if it's going to come down. So as it is now, it is making a corrective structure, but that corrective structure is not confirmed yet by the indicator. Let's have a look here. So we have got this as a 1, 2, 3 wave here. Is this going to be the end of the corrective structure? And we're going to start looking for this to make a move to the downside. So let's wait for those two possibilities and see which one we're getting there on Bitcoin. All right. So we're looking at that that is Bitcoin, and then let's look at Ethereum. Now Ethereum is similar. It is making what looks like a diagonal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if this is a leading diagonal, that means we're starting a wave 5, and Ethereum is going to push higher. But in that case, if it's a wave 5, you don't come and buy. If it's a 5-wave diagonal, and if it's a wave 1, you don't go and buy it. Then wait for it to give you a pullback like this. Then we're going to be looking for upside. Because that means even if it makes a move to the upside, we're not going to miss this. If it's making a corrective structure, and making a double, you still won't miss it, because it's going to do this and it's going to give you an opportunity to take it to the downside. As it is now, we need to wait a bit and see what direction we're getting here on the cryptocurrencies. All right, so that is Litecoin. Let's look at Litecoin now. That was Ethereum. Litecoin 1, 2. This one still showing upside here. Can come take the top here, come down one more, and then downside. If it does that, then we're going to see continuation to the downside. So let's see how this is going to play out. Right, again, they're all looking like they're making diagonals. They're all looking like they're making diagonals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If it is like that, then we're going to see this 3-wave pullback. Do not rush into selling this when you see it, because it can be just a pullback that will result in this one pushing up higher. But as it is now, there are two possibilities here, two alternatives. Watch for this as well. Okay, that is, let's look at Ripple now. Ripple, again, looks like we're starting a diagonal. So I'll show you, I'll go back to Bitcoin and show you that this is the tendency, that cryptos have got a tendency to start moving up with a diagonal when you're expecting them to push lower. Okay, so not everything is so obvious. Let's see if we're going to get that. Right, so we have seen it happen a couple of times, and the cryptos are fairly new, 10 years, or just over 10 years that they have been in existence. So sometimes they play out a little bit with structures that are not so familiar, but we have seen it before. Let's have a look at how it has played out before. Can you see this one here? When this one was making a sharp move and you're expecting this one to make continuation to the downside, it starts making these diagonals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so if you've got that 5, can you see that it's going to give you an opportunity to enter? Then you get the move to the upside. There was a specific case where I was actually expecting continuation to the downside. Let's see here. In this case, those that have been watching us for a couple of years will remember this. This was towards the end of 2020. So not actually the one, I'll show you the other one. So here I was expecting a structure like this. I was expecting downside, because this looked corrective. It looked corrective. And then we're expecting one more down, expecting a wave 4. It just went like that. We ended up only getting it here, which is still not far. We only ended up getting it around this area. Okay, let me show you another area where that has happened. Let me try to look for it on the daily, see if we can find it. Okay, so this was 2018. We started making a move to the downside. Now here's another one. Now this looked like a continuation pattern to the downside. So we were making a move to the downside. It starts making this corrective structure here. No, not this one. Let me just have a look here and try to find it. Here. If you look at this one here, makes a pullback, 3 waves, start looking like a corrective structure. We're expecting one more down before they push to the upside. The push to the upside came before we got the downside. So that has happened previously. Okay, so we need to be mindful of all those possibilities on the crypto. So now this is Ripple on the daily. So look out for this. As much as we're looking downside here now, there's still a possibility that this comes down correctively and we push to the upside. In any case, we have seen these three waves. So it will be confirmed downside if we get a corrective structure that does that after the three-wave move. That is Ripple. Bitcoin Cash. Let's go back to the 4-hour. Bitcoin Cash is clear. We're going to be looking at short-term upside. Short-term upside on Bitcoin Cash. We've got a pulsing move up. This is a correction here. We should see this one, because let's do this. So we've got a one up here. We could be getting 1, 2, 3 down here, and then we get upside like that. Let's do that in the white color, something like that. So that's a corrective structure there. So we are still in this corrective structure. We can still push to the upside on Bitcoin Cash. This is versus Bitcoin. Make note, it's not versus the US dollar. Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. Now look at this one here, looking for clear downside, continuation to the downside. Zcash still looks like it's also looking like it's making a diagonal. You can see we've got a diagonal here. If it's a diagonal, it's not going to be a reversal. If it's a diagonal and it completes, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Is this the fifth wave of the diagonal? If it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like we're still going to push up higher. If it is a diagonal, we're going to see a three-wave pullback, and then we're going to see a move to the upside. Now, this is what we're going to trade. This is what we're going to trade to the upside. That is Zcash Monero. Monero, we've got this three-wave pullback here, 1, 2, 3, looking for continuation to the upside. Also, you can see we've started with a diagonal, pulled back, and pushed up higher. So if it's going to push up higher, then we need to see this. That is Monero, Tron. Tron should continue lower. We've seen the three-wave to the upside. This is now versus the US dollar. We've got three waves up. Sorry, this is versus Bitcoin. 1, 2, 3 as well. So look for this to come and retest the low here, bounce, and then continuation to the downside. That is Tron. Dash, three waves up, three waves down, three waves up. We should possibly see another three waves back here on Dash. Omisego is just going sideways here. We've got a pulsing move down, three waves down here. Looks like we've got another three waves here. Are we going to come down here, make a push to the upside, and then continue lower? Then that will be a corrective structure here. Let me do this one in a different color so you can see the difference. We've got three waves down here. Let's use purple. 1, 2, 3. We started with white to the upside. 1, 2, 3, up, and then we look for downside. That is Omisego. Right, Binance. Sorry, we skipped Golem. Golem 1, 1, 2, 3 here. We should see a bit of a push to the downside before resumption higher. Binance, 10% up on Binance today. Let's get a bigger structure on Binance. So last week on Binance, we were expecting this one to still go sideways and just make a move to the upside, not just like that. Let me just adjust here. So Binance, we looked at this one to make a structure like this and continue to the downside before resuming a move to the upside. So that would have been a 1. This is the last, this is the move to the downside. Just a second, guys. Let's have a look here. I'll show you the whole structure here. It's actually an 11 string sequence. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. So it's 3 waves down, 3 waves back, 3 waves down, 3 waves back, and 3 waves down. Now we're seeing these 3 waves, this move to the upside. It looks like we're resuming the pulsing move to the upside. Any pullback here, look for upside back to this level. We should see a corrective structure before we get to that level. This is Binance versus BATC. And lastly, Link. Link has made a 3-wave pullback, and we're starting a move to the upside. So we've got 1, we've got 2, we've got 3. We should see a continuation move to the upside back to the previous high. That is Link. All right, so that is the Crypto Corner, and we'll see you next week. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and notification button so you can get an alert when we post the next webinar. Have a great week, guys. Trade responsibly. Cheers. Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody, for watching.